Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I want to talk about growing your book collection. I'm going to go over 10 tips, so here we go. Tip number 1 is to decide the purpose of your collection. What kind of books do you want to go and collect? Some people like to collect knowledge, for example, science books or history books, and some people like to collect fiction novels, their favorite authors, and so on. As for me personally, I mostly collect fiction novels and I like to collect my favorite authors. I want the books in my collection to be either books that I still need to read or want to read, and books that I have already read but that I want to reread one day because I loved them so much. Tip number 2 is to buy the right bookshelf. I have made a fatal mistake when deciding on my bookshelves. Don't get me wrong, I really love the design of my bookshelf and how it works in our interior, but I have made a mistake of not thinking big enough. So really think through how big your bookshelf is going to be, because in the beginning I didn't have many books. I had like 30 to 50 books. When I decided to buy a bookshelf, I thought it would look silly to go overboard. Like, then there would be 30 books inside the closet and it would be mostly empty. Looking back on it, I should have went for a way bigger bookshelf that reached to the ceiling, and then I wouldn't be having problems now because my bookshelves are overflowing with books and I don't have enough room. Okay, that was my cat going crazy. Where was I? If I would have decided to go for a bigger bookshelf, then I wouldn't be having the problems that I have today, because when it would reach to the ceiling, I would have used my space in the most optimal way. And then I wouldn't have to be looking for a second bookshelf right now, which is super expensive. And I actually don't really know if I have enough room for a second bookcase, but anyway, we'll figure it out. So yeah, before buying your bookshelf, don't make the same mistake as me and really think about which one you want to get. Make it big enough, because trust me, it'll get full one day. Tip number 4, decide which books you like most. Do you want to collect hardcovers or paperbacks? As for me, I started out collecting hardcover books and now I am switching to collecting secondhand paperback books. So I feel like I'm really changing my mind about certain things, because in the beginning I wanted to collect only hardcovers. I didn't want a single paperback in my collection, and now I have a huge amount of paperbacks and I don't mind the spines to be cracked and everything, which I never thought would happen. But I had this kind of change of mind when I started reading classical literature and I saw people really molesting their books and annotating them and writing in them. And so when I started tabbing my books and sometimes even write in my books, I had like this shift, and suddenly I didn't mind buying books of like €2, because I'm European, €2 that almost don't cost anything, instead of hardcovers of 25 or 30 euros. So yeah, try to decide what kind of books you like reading most. Do you want to start a collection like cheap paperbacks that you want to write in and highlight and annotate, or do you want to collect beautiful and more expensive books that you keep in pristine condition? I kind of do both. So with me it's like this combination of collecting old beautiful books and collecting cheap paperbacks. Tip number 5 is to use your local library. I don't know how it is in your country, but here in Belgium, we can use a library for free. We just put in our identity card and we can take the books we want to read for free and then return them eventually after like a month or 2 months. You do not have to feel obligated to actually buy books and collect them. It's also perfectly fine to just go to the library and get your books from there and not collect anything. Books don't only cost a lot of money, but they also take up a lot of space, and if that doesn't work out for you, that is totally fine. Which brings me to number 6, and I've already briefly talked about it, but you can buy your books secondhand. They don't need to be expensive. You can go to book markets, or you can go online, or you can go to certain websites where they sell secondhand books. Books do not need to be expensive. You don't need to buy 5 hardcover books, each $20, when you can get them in paperbacks for like $3 in a secondhand bookstore. Tip number 7 is to make a to be read list. There are so many books out there, and we cannot possibly read every book that we want to read. To make it a bit easier on yourself, you can make a list of books that you really want to get to. I keep many lists because I'm addicted to making lists, and I'm kind of a control freak. I keep a list of the classic books that I've read and that I still want to read, so those get prioritized. And then I also keep a list by the year of all the books that I've read every year. Tip number 8 is to look for inspiration. So if you don't know where to start with the interior design of your library, you can find some beautiful ideas online. I am fond of using Pinterest when I am looking for interior design tips and inspiration. But of course, you can also watch booktube videos of collection videos and book tours and library tours, or you can go on Instagram, Bookstagram, and look for inspiration there. Tip number 9 is to set a budget. As I said before, books can get really expensive. It might be a good idea to set yourself a budget that you can spend every month on buying books. And then finally, tip number 10 is to invest in a good chair, a reading chair, and a good light. If you can, I would suggest putting a reading chair where there is a lot of natural light. This is my reading chair, by the way. It is right by the window. I will show you guys. As you can see, it's right by the window, and it's super comfortable to read there, when especially in winter when the days are getting darker. And as you can see, I also have a light in the corner there for, you know, at night. When things get darker, I just pop on the light. The reason why I want to mention this in this video is because reading in the dark isn't likely to damage your eyes, but it does strain your eyes. It makes them tired, you get fatigued, you strain your eyes. So I would suggest getting a really good light. It can also cause headaches. And what I also want to mention is when the font of your book is really tiny, then your eyes have to work much harder, and it's going to be much more exhausting to read. You're gonna get dry eyes faster, or headaches, or a strain on your eyes. So that is actually also something to keep in mind, is when you collect certain editions or certain books, make sure that you kind of research the font too, if that is important to you. Especially when your eyes aren't that great, it is something to really keep in mind when you start collecting certain editions, that you know beforehand about the font. Alright, that is everything that I wanted to say today. I hope these tips were helpful and that you can learn from my own mistakes. I'm wishing you a lovely day, and I will see you guys in the next video.